Podcast, WATP.
Joe Matarese just dropped yesterday on YouTube, episode number 18. It's go time. This dropped, so yesterday was the 27th. And I just want to point out the scroll on the bottom of this video, and he gets into promoting it, is for his stand-up show on February 24th. Joe is bad at everything. Literally everything he's bad at. And so what he's excited about in this episode, he's got a lot to talk about. He's ready for a big day.
We got a lot of shit to talk about today. It's all on my list. I'll even try to make eye contact with you right there. Is that where you are? Is that you? Is that you out there?
Good stuff.
Oh, he dropped his tiny list.
He had a note card. He has a single note card. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. There's just a lot on here. I have 2 or 3 bullet points. A lot to get into.
I'm sure it's as brilliant as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame item of God only knows written on a cocktail napkin.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be that compelling.
Oh.
All of the best preparation is done on a half-ply piece of toilet paper that you hold up and say, look, I actually thought about the show.
Paul McCartney's Yesterday ran on a cocktail napkin. Yes, for sure. It's going to be quite compelling. But there's a reason why he wrote down some bullet points for this one.
We have no guest today. No guest, which is kind of cool. I kind of like it. I kind of like just talking right to you guys, dealing with the comments, answering in the moment and all that stuff.
Are you trying to convince yourself?
The grass is green. The grass is green.
You're not convincing me. I've never heard someone who enjoys something say, I kind of like it. You know, it's kind of cool. I've never described getting oral sex from a 9 as being kind of cool. I kind of like it. Yeah. You'd be more into it than that.
Not having to ask someone if I've met them before or if they met me.
We're going to get into that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
We're going to get into that, guys. But before we get into that, I want to point out that Joe is very happy with his soundboard. This is right out of Patrick Michael's playbook right here.
And no booing. I know. No booing. So what do we want to talk about right at the top of this episode?
I don't know. You tell me. This is your show.
That comes canned in like the cheapest piece of shit interface that you can buy,
Correct.
which I'm sure Patrick Michael owned at one point.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing.
Owns.
So Joe's pulling up the chats that are coming in. And with the software he's using, he can resize the little window of the chat and move it around and stuff like that. So he's playing around with that. And he can't help himself. This is how you know someone's a hack, when they can't stop themselves from making this joke.
I'm trying to make these bigger this week. Let's see how we do these. Oh, yeah. Let's make them like kind of long and skinny. I like them long and skinny. That's what she said.
Opie.
Wow.
That's what she said.
It's also not what she said ever.
No, she didn't say that. She was joking. That was a joke when she said that. But this whole thing where, and that was the, what's the guy from The Office, Michael Scott? Mm-hmm. That was the whole point, is that the guy's such a loser. He can't stop himself from making that joke every time something sounds vaguely sexual. Yeah. And Joe Matarese is the same retard. You would think he's a professional comic, but no, he has to make the that's what she said joke. So he reads this chat, not even a super chat, and addresses it.
How about you take some audience calls and we figure out what's going on with this crooked contract you signed for your agent. Now, what do you mean by that, Spooky Sammy?
If that is your name.
I didn't even sign it.
Well, I'm your agent, and I ripped you off.
So the way he starts this, you would think that my first thought was, why are you even reading it then if there's no merit to this question? But then...
What, I didn't even sign a contract with my agent. So, as of about a week ago, him and I are no longer working together. We split up admirably. And here's to me being free. I'm going to
he's free.
We'll start doing this on the episodes. We'll start with
maybe
different bourbons every week.
I'm free of having a guy who gets me work. Could you imagine being Joe Matarese's agent? You're getting 10% of MLC money.
Yeah.
Did Kevin Brennan Venmo you yet? Because I need 10% of that.
Yeah.
$120.
I admired how amicable it was, and then I pounded 2/3 of a bottle of bourbon.
Well, again, he's changing the format. Now it's a bourbon drinking show. He cannot just stay in a lane. He can't pick anything. He just needs to keep trying different things.
Drinks it out of his shoe.
All right, now that's Opie. That would be certainly an Opie thing to do. But this is a Stuttering John thing to do. It's almost like he's trying to find new ways to fail just for us.
I don't want to watch this. But for some reason, I just noticed my logo shut off. Let me turn my logo back on.
So if you're just listening right now, behind Joe, there's a TV screen that just has his logo on it. But then it went to the screensaver. So you just see the Samsung logo bouncing around. And he sees that. He's looking back. So he's going to fix this very quickly. He won't have any problems at all.
I had it.
He needs Rich and Bonnie's producer.
HDMI 4.
Yeah, now he's going through different screens. He's finding folders. There it is.
There we go. I don't know why I can't get that to lock on forever. It goes for about an hour, and then it goes into sleep mode.
Well, there's definitely a setting for that. But also, TVs aren't supposed to just show an image forever. They'll actually have the screen get burned out, which is why there's a screen saver. If there's any other thing you could use to have your logo behind you, but...
At what point in the show was this? He just said that it times out after an hour.
This was 20 minutes in.
So...
Yeah, so he had it up there for a while before he started. So
he's got to do a lot of prep work.
Right. Well, he had that whole note card full of notes. So he's probably
going over his notes.
Going over that for quite some time. So, he's telling stories. The chat's not that active. No one watches his show. I love this thing where he's like, no guests. I'm just going to talk to you guys. Just whatever you guys want to talk about. So then he just sits there going, all right, what did I do? So I guess he took his, for President's Week, the kids are off of school. So he's taking his kids to look at colleges. And he goes to Seton Hall. But he's got a problem with that.
We weren't that impressed with Seton Hall, to be honest. It was a little too religious. Some of these, Catholic or Jesuit colleges, it's like, I don't know, there was holy water.
Did you guys know that Catholic and Jesuit colleges are religious?
With holy water?
Even too religious, you might say. It's like, so what? There's like Jesus and stuff here at this Catholic college?
Since when?
Yeah, we're probably going to look somewhere else then. Never mind. Notre Dame, here we come. So for whatever reason, they didn't do even the basic research before visiting the campus. I like that, like, holy water is like, oh, we got to get the fuck out of here. This is not for us.
Yeah, it's burning.
Oh, he's got a show coming up, as I mentioned. He's got a show coming up this weekend, except for it was last weekend because the show didn't launch until yesterday. But as he's doing it live for the 8 viewers who are watching it, he's promoting a show he has coming up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia. And I think it's going to go very well for him.
But we're doing a show at this JCC that's around the corner from the high school I graduated from in 1985. They have 500 seats. So that can be a fucking unbelievable payday if I can sell it out. If I could sell out 500 seats this Saturday, I will kick some ass.
Hold on a second. So it's in a couple days. It seats 500. Mm-hmm. It's a JCC. And you don't know if it's going to sell out or not? It's not.
Yeah.
You're talking to 8 people. It's not going to sell out, Joe.
It could be great, or it could look like 20 people in a 500-seat theater.
It might look really, really bad. Yeah. I just love the optimism there.
Yeah.
This guy's 56 years old. He's just like, and by the way, this could be a big payday for me. Have you talked to the venue? Do you know how many seats you've sold so far? You should. You probably do.
Well, he's okay with 8 viewers.
Right.
And the world has billions of people.
He'll do an hour for 8 viewers.
And like you said, I like his optimism. He's like, there's 500 seats. There's an opportunity there.
That's pretty cool.
I think he's mostly just lucky that he's not going to have to share all those profits with his agent.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. That's a bonus for him. He's very excited about it. Okay. So this is where he starts coping. The fact that he doesn't have any guests. And I don't want to pat myself on the back, but it turns out we might have something to do with this.
Let me pour it on camera. I do like the no guests. as if you go look on YouTube, there's a lot of different guys out there that like are trolling my podcast. And I laugh because they just shit on me, and it's like funny to me. And I forget which episode it was. It was 2 episodes ago. They posted and said, "I'm the worst podcast interviewer of all time." And I agree. And that's why I'm happy that I don't have a guest today, because I do suck. I suck at interviewing. I used to be good at it. I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened. Well, you have to come prepared. You have to be interested in your guest, and you have to want it to be entertaining. So you don't have any of those things going on. That's what happened. But I love the fact, because that was a video that we posted, that he's the worst interviewer of all time. And he's watching it. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm not good with guests. And so this is crazy to me, because he's had many guests on his show over the past few weeks. And you would think he wouldn't want to shit on them, considering this is a young podcast, episode 18 here. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have a reputation for being a guy who shits on guests that come on the show.
It's just like stand-up comedy. Like, the audience knows when you're sick of a joke, and the audience also knows when you don't have curiosity about the guest. So if you're a person that doesn't have curiosity, don't have guests. Don't interview them unless it's going to be someone you are really curious about. And let's face it, you see how many people are watching me live right now. I don't have enough fans that I can get somebody that I would give a shit about them.
Wow!
That's awful.
I've caused people to say some crazy shit over the years, but that's got to be up there, right? The fact that he sees he sucks at interviewing, so he decides to throw all of his guests under the bus. It's not my fault. Who gives a shit about these people?
Yeah. You'd be bad at interviewing too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What do you want me to do? Pretend I give a shit about my guests? Do some research ahead of time?
Get me some guts.
Pretend they're funny?
You booked them.
I can't believe. I appreciate the honesty. Don't get me wrong. I love that he said that. I can't believe he said that.
You broke him.
This is the beginning. Yeah. Didn't take much.
And we were just getting started.
This is the beginning of the end for him.
It's no longer fixing Joe, it's breaking Joe.
Well, then we can fix him again.
Yeah, rebuilding Joe.
So that works out well. So he continues to pile on. He doubles and triples down on how shitty his guests have been. This is insane.
So I get these comedians with big social media followings that can pack a comedy club who nobody's ever heard of, and I haven't heard of.
First off, how does that work? They have a huge social media following. They pack clubs, and no one's ever heard of them.
Yeah.
Do you hear the words coming out of your mouth, Joe? This is retarded.
And if you haven't heard of them, stop asking if they've met you before.
Didn't I see you at Gotham in 2004? I don't know, Joe.
Right.
I don't know.
You did that joke about your period?
I don't know.
That's what was happening. So, it's nice having them on when you need a guest, but I think a nice balance, maybe a guest, then not a guest, or,
Never a
what
guest.
I'm saying? But it's got to be somebody that you give a shit about. And hard for me to give a shit about somebody that I never met in my life.
And that's why he's drinking the bourbon now.
Alone.
Unbelievable. Hard for me to give a shit about someone I've never met in my life. Don't most people interview people they've never met in their life if they are the host of a show?
Yeah. Wouldn't you have a lot of questions for somebody you knew nothing about?
Yes, you should.
Yeah, you could.
That seems like a no-brainer. Immediately, every guest is just like, hey, do you know me? Do I know you? It's not about you, Joe.
Tell that joke I already heard.
To the Rob Lowe School of Interviewing.
Yes. Unbelievable. This guy comes out and just slams every guest he's ever had on his show. Rather than take responsibility, which he almost did. He almost did. He's right. I'm bad at interviewing. I used to be good. I'm not anymore. But the reason is these guests. Holy shit. Who's going to interview these retards, huh?
It's not the host's job to say the guests were bad. It's the super chatters and the audience.
Right.
This episode sucked because Andy was on it. We get it.
Right. Go to Patreon with that kind of information, not on your show. So this is crazy. He keeps going with this.
They're selling out clubs because they got good TikToks. But if you watch them do stand-up, you're like,
The balls on this guy.
Yeah, we've seen your stand-up.
Yeah. Mozzarella. Yeah. Sounds like it came out of your ass. Mozzarella.
Yeah.
The balls on this guy to say that these comics don't have very good stand-up routines. When he's going around doing the 93.7% Italian comedy tour, and he has to let me know that I'm an idiot for making fun of that as well.
So I did that show Saturday night, packed house, Italian, 93.7 Italian comedy tour. That these trolls out there that are making fun of my podcast, they're making. I laugh. They're making fun of my comedy tour. I'm like, it fucking sells out every time. They're like, oh, he's doing a dumb Guido tour. You know how much money I just made on that dumb Guido tour over and over and over again that I keep doing? It reminds me so much of a friend of mine. He used to go, comedians always tell you to stop doing what works. It's the same way in the comedy business. The shit that you get ripped on about is the shit that works.
Hold on. Comedians always tell you not to do what works. And you know what? Who else says that? Comedians.
Me so much of a friend of mine. He used to go, comedians always tell you to stop doing what works. It's the same way in the comedy business. The shit that you get ripped on about is the shit that works.
How's he going to double down on this?
I don't know, but this is insane. This is hack. This is why we're making fun of you, because talking about, can you believe these guys would leave the vowel off the end of words? They think they're so Italian. That's a hack premise. The fact that you pronounce your name Matarese and you did 3 minutes on how much pussy you would have gotten in 4th grade if your last name had been Matarese instead of Matarese. That's hack, Joe. And I know you're sweetening the club. I know you're not getting that many laughs. And that's why we're goofing on it. Oh, but I sold out. Okay, you tricked a bunch of people to come see you because they also are obsessed with their heritage. Good job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Who are these podcasts?